All right. Looking at the agenda, are there any of those policies from policy committee that need to be tabled yet tonight?
We are going to be tabling under 9.2, we're going to be tabling 902, 902 Addendum A, and 905.5 fundraisers concessions. We have not received the changes from Community Ed, and we will get them this week. We'll review them and should have them available next Monday to do a second reading on.
Okay. And then we will add 9.5, and we will be going into a closed session at that time, talk about land acquisition.
And the only other thing we've got down on the agenda for the next board meeting for 10.1, fiscal personnel
Yep.
meeting, but we talked about recommending having a policy meeting instead at 5 o'clock. So that way we can do it with those policies that we're getting.
Oh, okay.
So policy instead of F&P.
Right.
Correct.
And the plan is, I'm going to meet with Sandy right afterwards. We've already got a draft for next Monday's meeting. And tomorrow you will get the agenda for next Monday's meeting.
Okay.
Now we don't have to find another meeting time.
Ah, good. Darn, I kind of like when you bring me subs. Okay. Any other changes? Nope. All right. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda? By Scott. Is there a second?
Second.
Ooh, Lindsay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed, same sign. No one else is here. Was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you. Moving on to 6.1, board committee reports.
So prior to this meeting tonight, we reviewed a couple new policies for the first reading tonight. The administration staff, admin staff had met together to discuss 509.2, which is our open enrollment lottery process, which I'm sure Brian will elaborate on, and that will be coming out in an email. So please pay special attention to that one and read that, please. 540, another one is new to our district, is the homeless education. And that is another one that they're still tweaking, so that will also be coming out in an email this week, so go ahead and read that one as well, please. And then the last one was 725, severe weather-related school closings. That one's pretty much done. Brian will be sending that out to everybody, so please take a look at that. And then we're just going to table those couple from Community Ed, and that was about it tonight.
So for those of you that are eager beavers, you do have access, read access to all those policies that are in that folder that is board, what is it, for board consideration or whatever, it's a red line folder. They're all in there, but we know that, like Lindsay said, we're tweaking them. And once they're ready for, we think it's in a draft form that we like, I'm going to just send you separate emails with each one of those so that you know exactly when they're done. And then, of course, we'll have policy on Monday. And if there's any more tweaking, we can do it before the board takes action for a second reading.
All right, moving on to 6.2, superintendent report.
I'll keep it fairly brief. I had this last time and I didn't get it out to people, but I think it's well worth. MREA came out with this. I don't know if any of you had a chance to look at it. It is a really good report. I shared this with Cindy and I were doing some comparisons on this.
I think you did give that out, didn't you?
Some got it and some didn't because I had copies left. But this is every school district in the state of Minnesota. So I think it's really interesting. I think it's real interesting reading. And I say that because when you look at, in particular, you're seeing the actual debt tax rates for every district, so that it gives you a real good feel for how much stakeholders in all the school districts are paying currently on their buildings. Whether it be that they've done a bond to redo a building, fix a building, what else not, anything that says debt service. And then it's showing on the ag to school. So in those columns to the right, so if we just look at DGF, for instance, on the third page near the bottom, we know that with the ag to school, which is in place, the debt tax on a 500,000 homestead agriculture went from 198 to 118, or saved $79. And then you can see the ag, you can see the things that didn't change. 150,000. What's kind of nice is the comparison of what people for the same value house across the whole state of Minnesota, how much they pay. So when you compare us on a $150,000 homestead, $100. On a $500,000 business, $733. Those don't change with the ag to school. And then you compare Holly on the next page. That same $150,000 homestead, $160. A business, $1178. And I think it's worthwhile to look at because of the fact we are, I think you can feel fairly proud that in comparison, when we talk about how much our taxes are, I think we do a pretty good job in relation to area school districts on the cost. And this is apples to apples. This isn't, well, they got this or this or that. This is the same $150,000 house based on their tax rate, how much they pay. So it's a nice report. If you're like me, you like it. Next thing, update on capital items. We know that while we were gone last week, I think it was Thursday and Friday, they worked on the parking lot. Raleigh got probably has the most info on it. I was asking him questions because I wanted to get an idea. Did they have to go into subcutting and how far down did they have to dig? I have, in the time I've been at DGF, I'll say it to every person that wants to hear it. I think our operations department, our maintenance department, has done some outstanding work this summer. I look at the facilities. I think we can be proud of when we have our back to school nights on how the buildings look. There's a ton of work. I am very happy with Comstocks, those updates. I think Jay has done a great job giving us, I told Amy, emailed back, in the time this is unusual for me to get updates like that from contractors. This has been so helpful because August is a crazy time for building administrators and our district staff just to make sure everything's staying coordinated. So they've done a great job with that. If you get a chance to go down and see the cabinets in the 5th grade wing, they look great. I think it's going to give us an opportunity to really bond everybody together on, look at our buildings, look at the work that the district's doing, even in tough economic times. We're getting these things done. The bathrooms, you'll notice that the guy's bathroom at the high school here on the west side, they've knocked out one of the urinals there, and there's block that's out. That will have to be boarded up for a period of time until they can get that done, and it sounds like that may be, 2-3 weeks, I think. The middle school bathroom project looks fantastic. And they were doing a lot of work. They started putting the floor tile down today. So if you get a chance, you can see that. Those of us who have looked and cringed when we've seen how faded and what else not, the VCT tile over at the Dilworth door 1, the main entrance, under those rugs, it looked horrible before, and all of that's been tore out. We tore that out. We put in new carpet, just like the same type of carpeting, all-weather carpeting that was put in for the entrance over at this site. That's done today. They've wrapped that up today. So when we did that internally. So Curtis did that. So there are a lot of really good updates that have been taking place. And the transition going to maintenance and custodial, it's putting people where they have expertise, getting to know the two buildings, Tammy and James, and I think they're transitioning well. Building and grounds was another concern. We found out the issue with that. Part of that was coordination, that it was going too many lieutenants or whatever you want to call it, because we had coordination issues between our maintenance department and then community ed, and so lawns were getting done here, and they weren't getting done at the other site because it was in different departments. And now everything's under building and grounds. So hand in hand with that, it's still draft, but it's getting real close. And the plan is to have this ready to unveil with all of the staff. At the retreat, we talked a lot about alignment and making sure communications, that we have good communications and it's everybody's on the same page. This is where I do believe we are getting to that point. Jake has done a good job, a really good job with this. We're trying to show the alignment on all of our decision making, going from the board to the superintendent to the admin cabinet, getting it back to where the people that have the responsibility for these decisions also have the authority. And that was something we had to change. We had to change. That was the reason, and it was well received at our DLT meeting to dissolve the DLT. Put it back to what it's supposed to be. And it's a staff development. That's what it's about. That's why you have it's in statute, why you have the membership the way you have it. So if you look at all the decision making now, as we go through, and if you're wondering the process as far as for the alignment, when we get into instruction, one of the issues for staff members has been the fact that we've been at these DLT meetings in the past, and you'll have high school reps that will have to make decisions if they're going to vote for something that the elementary is doing, which just didn't make sense, and vice versa. And it made it stressful for staff members. So what we do is, we do it when it's at the district level, it's at the cabinet level. And then what takes place is we meet monthly. And as we're working with Dr. Hill over the year, and the other thing you will get either later this week or Monday in my report is the full professional development with the school board, with the admin cabinet for the whole entire year. We've got it all ready to go. It's still a draft. Him and I have to meet on a conference call tomorrow, but I feel really good. He's actually, he enjoyed that retreat so much, he didn't charge us for his time there. He said, I'm throwing that one in. Because, he knows that if this becomes very successful, he can use it as a model with other school districts. So it's good business on his part. He's planning on meeting with the board and the admin team in October. He's going to meet with the board at MSBA leadership in January. And then also he's coming up here to meet with the board in March and again in April, and do the same thing with the admin team, and looking at doing a retreat again in June. So basically, we wrap up the year, what did we do well, and then we move in looking at the goals for the following year. Get that alignment going. What I can tell the board, and we didn't get a chance on Friday to discuss this, but that goes hand in hand with this structural, the whole operations, the organizational structure of DGF. So that the admin team, when we were meeting as a board with Dr. Hill, they were working on setting up so that we have some consistency with our site leadership team meetings. It's not, well, these do it well and this one doesn't do it as well, and they've created a template. All meetings will use that same template. The process will be that when you look at Dilworth Elementary staff and in this flow chart, at those levels, each of them have committed at their site leadership teams, they will meet the second week of the month. Then we meet as an admin cabinet the third week of the month. So when people say, well, we brought it up at our site meetings, but it didn't go anywhere. We use the same template. We use the same meeting minute process. It's got who's got the following action, where does it go to the next step. So it goes right from those site level meetings on the second week to our admin team meetings on the third week. And we're setting up the calendar for the whole year so that every staff member, everybody who works in this school district knows exactly when we're meeting. It's all on a team drive. Every person has access to see it. So if they brought it up at, let's say, a middle school meeting, and in their meeting minutes it said that Heidi was going to bring it up at the next meeting, they know that the following week it's going to be on our action item. And they can see exactly what was done. So we move up the ladder that way and we bring it right back down. So at the second week of every month, this will happen all across the district. We have our cabinet meetings every third week. And then this K-5 and 6-12 leadership that you see in there, what I brought up to the admin team was, what if we put that as the first week of October, November? Again, they don't need to meet as often, but if we do it every other month on that first week, then we know that it's going right up from either at the admin meeting or it's assigned to the K-5. And we have checks and balances through the whole year because we make sure we have that alignment. We make sure that both elementaries are going in that same direction. All the public knows we're going to have these meetings, and everybody can see the action plans coming and the progress on the action plans. When the principals report to you as a board, we go right back every time there's a report about what were the building goals, how are we doing on progress on that. And it's all in minutes, it's all across the whole district, and the public can see it at the meetings.
That's phenomenal.
There's a lot of work that's been going on. They've done a great job as a team. I can
really
honestly
like it.
say this, in my 30-some years, this is the most alignment. Now it's just following through. And because we're trying to tell everybody this, hold us accountable. That first morning, this is going to be brought up to everybody on the staff. Here's when we're meeting. Here's the template. There's no excuses because everybody's going to use them. And it's exactly the same template, and it's all in Team Drive, so it's very transparent because everybody can see the stuff. So if there's one thing that I feel really, really good, it's the alignment, the work that this team has been doing all summer long. So I am very excited about where we're headed as a district. Okay.
That sounds wonderful, guys.
Sounds great. Can't wait to see it all in action. Be
Yeah.
awesome.
So that's what I have.
Thank you.
Pretty good. Only like 10 minutes, I think.
A lot been going on, but I really wanted to get this out to you so that you can see we are working on that progress.
Speaking of scheduling, since they're all sitting right there, when are we gonna get the admin negotiations going? I'm sure they probably aren't interested, but
I would like, as soon as we can on the 20th, the next Monday's meeting, we'll go through the goals with the board and the action plans. And then I would like to turn right around in September and get these contracts done. To show everybody, this is something we said we would, let's show the progress, let's show the alignment. And now that we're doing that, let's get these contracts done.
Sounds good.
yeah. Do you think that's
I would
how?
Work
say
for you
right
guys?
away in September, I would say.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just
No,
it just
Glad
sucks.
you brought it
It's
up.
tough starting school year, without it.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Is that a committee?
That is a committee we'll need admin negotiation committee.
That's you, Lindsay, Scott, and myself, I believe.
Okay, I
And
didn't know if we were doing that one too.
and
I thought it was.
We can do that between the 20th and that first meeting in September. So next Monday, we'll just have to look at our calendars coming into that one, and then we'll set up an admin negotiations committee meeting.
Yep. Okay.
That's it.
Sounds
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to 7.1, the approval of the regular meeting, July 23rd meeting. Motion by Amy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Raleigh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Moving on to the consent agenda, under business, claims and accounts.
Bills for August, to date for August, $79,752.28.
How much?
Uh-oh. Cindy's saying that's not right.
No, it's wrong. It's actually $333,750.19.
Okay.
I didn't change the number right there, that's
That's a
my
slight
fault.
difference.
I'm like,
gonna say, that's
I
a lot.
never have
700
remembered in August being,
Because I would think that a lot of supplies would be.
Okay, so you're looking at the amount that you didn't move down
Yes.
to 333.
1,000.
All right, let's try that again. The bills to date for August are $333,073.19.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I'm Could have given out more.
Yeah, when I started writing 79, I'm like, wow, we've like
pretty
always
cheap.
spent a lot in August usually. All right. Okay, so looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Lindsay, is there a second? Second by Bobby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Moving on to 9.1, student handbooks. Margot gave us a little copy.
Yep, I gave you all the clip notes. So what I did is I just took this,
Yep.
the line piece, and I just took out the parts that so I added, if I added something, I put added and then just, so it's easier for you, 2 pages.
We appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yep, it's good.
and really the only changes 612 were just more, was there any other?
It was basically the lunch breakfasts, the 17 to 18 to 18, 19, some names, adding, a sixth section for 8th grade. Little minor things, no big changes this year. We decided, we've done a lot of work on it the last couple of years, and then a lot of alignment between 6 to 12, so not too much this year. So my leadership team and I went through this in June and July, and then when you start in July 1st, I think you're gonna.
Well, I've got pieces of information from others, but I don't want to really make any moves on anything, like, get some time with people.
Yeah.
And we know that the grad requirements, the graduation requirements is something that is a work in progress. I mean, that is, there will be changes recommended for that. But that'll take all fall. It'll take the rest of 2018 to have the recommendations for the graduating classes, not this coming year seniors, but the ones moving forward. There will be some changes for the other ones that are already in the district, that are already in the high school. But the thing that will be important for people to know is it isn't anything that's going to handicap any kids. It's just going to give them more options.
Do real requirements mean? Give them more options to fulfill requirements?
Because right now, we're very specific on a couple of areas. There's only certain routes to meet, and what we're doing is we're opening up possibilities for kids. So it's not as territorial. Kids win.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a good thing. So, okay, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the first reading.
So moved.
Motion by Amy, is there a second? I'll second it. I never get to. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Moving on to 9.2, policies. Again, this was, Lindsay had alluded to that, 902, the addendum, 902, and then 905. Those three at the bottom are tabled. So looking for a motion to approve the second reading.
So moved.
Motion by Lindsay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bobby. All those in favor say aye. And opposed, same sign.
We will update and replace those this week on the website.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, moving on to 9.3. This is the first reading of staff development procedures, out-of-state tuition, open enrollment lottery process, homeless, education, severe weather-related school closings. This is the first reading. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Amy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Scott.
So now, with this in particular, the one that you're going to see some changes, and I will work on this right away tomorrow, is the 509.2, the open enrollment lottery process. And so that I don't have to send you a full novel trying to describe it in my email. Basically, what we talked about tonight was our current policy is set based on the amount of students in any given grade. Tier 2 is 145, Tier 1 is 155. And what I discussed with our admin team and brought up to the policy committee was looking at changing the way we do this. Instead of a finite number per grade, going by ratios. Because as a school board, you establish in the spring how many sections we're going to have. So once we establish how many sections we're going to have, then that way the policy can be simply stated, here's the ratios that we're looking for open enrollment. Now, that's a distinct difference than saying we have set enrollment, we have set student-teacher ratios by grade. This is only for the open enrollment portion. And as an example, we have 2 sections of kindergarten at the Glendon site. We have 4 sections of kindergarten at the Dilworth site. We could simply state that Tier 2 open enrollment is limited once we max out at 18 students per section student-teacher ratios. Tier 1, we can go to 19, and we leave it. That's it. Because we know that as resident comes in, we still take them. But you don't want to handcuff yourself on saying, if we hit 21, we must add another section, because all of a sudden you're down to 14s. So again, this is not establishing a ratio on enrollment across the district. This is only open enrollment. And part of the rationale behind this is, as this year's kindergarten, we only have 120 some students. We've already established that we're going to have 6 sections. By our current policy, if 20 more students would happen to come in from true Tier 2 Moorhead, you'd have to go up to 145. And we wouldn't have the classroom space for it, and we're into that same thing again about why didn't you squeeze them out? But if we go by open enrollment ratio limits, now you're able to keep track of that. And we'll change the policy also to say that it's a district decision on the placement of these people. And I say that because in bigger districts, you have boundaries within a school district. So you have, if you look at Fargo, if you look at West Fargo, if you look at Moorhead, if you're in this particular attendance area, you go to this elementary building. If you're in this one, you go to this one. And we don't have that as a school district. But what we can establish by policy for open enrollment is we do not have an attendance boundary for a resident population. They can pick and choose wherever. But our open enrollees on a yearly basis can be put in their enrollment zone is simply where we have spots available. And that's legal. So we either treat it resident, that's one attendance boundary, open enrollment's the second one. And they come in based on where we have capacity for them. Now we're continuing that process of squeezing it for giving preference for residents. So That's what you're gonna get from me as I put this thing together, but I didn't wanna mess with it until we had a chance to talk about it tonight. But I plan on having that hopefully by Thursday. For sure you're gonna have it by Friday, and I'll send it to the full board. Okay?
Did anybody have any discussion, any questions on that?
Not yet.
Okay, because we have a motion and we also have a second, so,
No,
all
not
right,
right
be
now.
looking for that then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Moving on to 9.4, the non-certified contract for Joe Wasferret, paraprofessional, $15.80 an hour, start of this school year.
So moved.
Motion by Scott. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Raleigh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Moving on to 10, oh, I'm sorry, 9.5. We are going into closed session right now to talk over land acquisition. We'll come back, give you a little synopsis of that, and then be ending our meeting. So let the record show 6:31, and we'll start at 6:40.